everybody. Thanks for coming to the Colorado Knits podcast. I am Carrie, your host. Today is Wednesday, April 14th, and this is maybe the third time I've recorded this because I have had dogs hit a camera. I have had someone come to the door with a delivery, which is really weird. It wasn't UPS. It was like a third-party delivery. And so now hoping on my lunch hour I can get this done. Let's see, how to reach me. You can reach me at hello@coloradoknits.net. That is my email address. And I am on Instagram at Colorado Knits, and I do respond to messages there. I'm a little clumsy around messages. Sometimes I accidentally send you a post or something. Instagram messaging is a little weird. You can message me on Ravelry at Colorado Knits. I have old projects there. I haven't put any in recently. But that will go to my email, so I will respond, but I'm not on Ravelry very much until they fix their accessibility issues. Their dark mode is not an accessibility workaround at all, so I just am not really using it. I am hoping to update my website with project pages for some of the projects I'm working on, but that's a hope and a prayer type thing. So that's how you can reach me. I was going to put this later in, but I think I'm going to start now. Next week, next podcast, my husband wants to join the podcast, which I think is really funny. He kind of gets knitting. Like, he asked me a lot of questions. I was working on a sock and I was kind of tweaking a pattern, and he asked me a lot of questions. And then he asked if he could be on the podcast. And so if you have questions for the man, or what questions should we ask him on the podcast to make him feel at home on the knitting podcast. I don't know. I think it'll be kind of fun, but let's hear what you would like to hear from him. I talk about him a lot as the man. He has a name. It is Bob, but he is the man, and it'll be interesting to hear what he has to say. So put your questions below or email me or whatever about getting him on the show, and maybe I'll prep him. So what's new? It's been over a month. We had a humongous snowstorm in March in Denver. We had 27 inches, and we survived that, and it's all melted, which is wonderful. That's the best thing about living in Colorado. There's no brown snow. I lived in Cleveland for a while, and I loved it, except for the fact it would snow, and the snow would never melt. So the sides of the roads were all grimy. That is not the case in Colorado. It is sunny and nice. We have had fall spring 1, where it was 80 degrees last week, and sunny and super and wonderful. And then it's been snowing and raining at night, each night. And it's supposed to be gross tomorrow and Friday, which is kind of a bummer because I have a work event on Friday. But it is spring here. My neighbor's tulips are starting to bloom. We have crocuses. We don't have crocuses, but there are crocuses in the neighborhood. And it's just nice. Spring to me is wonderful. I love when I walk the dogs. That the sun is coming up earlier. Daylight savings time kills me. That the sun is coming up earlier, and at 5:30 I hear birds chirping. Even if the sun isn't up, when I'm out walking the dogs, I hear the birds chirping, and that is just wonderful. And there's more birds than just the magpies, so who are here year round. So that is making me super happy. Work-wise, I am out of grant season. Another reason I was so delayed is I had major grants, and they were challenging. They weren't major. They weren't significant money that I was asking for, but there were a lot of questions on them. And a lot of the questions were really poignant and thoughtful about my organization, Addiction Recovery, and how we're making our services accessible to lower income folks, to marginalized populations. And I got to write a dissertation on racism in the criminal justice system. And then, not literally like a week after I submitted the grant, there was a big report on our Colorado state justice system. It might have been Denver. I think it was the Denver justice system, the county. How many people of color were charged with felonies versus white folks. And it was very interesting, and it spoke to what I was speaking of in my grant. So unfortunately, I couldn't. It's a big corporate grant, so you can't go in and say, hey, take a look at this study. But I was like, yeah, right on. That's what I said. So I am through that. I only have one grant due this month, and it's a pretty easy one. It's more like a sponsorship grant, so I can kind of do that in my sleep. And the really exciting stuff is that we, in my work, are getting vaccines for all 100 of our residents. And they were supposed to get the Johnson & Johnson vaccine this upcoming Friday. And we had opened it up to the public, and I had all these people coming. I had heads of foundations coming. I had all sorts of stuff. And then yesterday morning at 5:45, I got a news alert that the CDC and the FDA were stopping the use of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, which meant I had a bunch of people emailing me and texting me and asking me questions, and we had to rearrange. And thankfully our partners, we're not giving the vaccines, we're working with a partner, and they were able to really be super agile, and we're going with the Moderna vaccine. And unfortunately it means 2 doses. We really, for the last year in my organization, we have been holding our breath. We got through COVID. We had 1 outbreak, which was really almost more staff than residents. We had 1 outbreak in October, November, but we've had no hospitalizations, and we've been very, very fortunate, and we've been very diligent and aware of how we've been working around COVID protocols. So for us to get this 1 dose and then in 2 weeks be able to really exhale and know that our residents, for the most part, were vaccinated except for any new ones coming in, that was great. And now that's 6 weeks down the line as opposed to 2 weeks down the line. So, but we still were able to open it up to people outside our organization, and we're helping get people vaccinated. And that's really cool for me. I want people to know what we do. And I've got like good people coming. I have 2 people from foundations coming so they can see what we do as an informal site visit, which is really kind of fun. So that's what's going on in my life. Like I said, I didn't podcast for a month. As you guys know, there's a lot of turmoil in the world, and being in Colorado, we had a shooting, and I just wasn't in a good spot. I didn't feel very happy for quite some time, so I didn't want to come on and be a grumpy podcaster. But I turned my energy into, I had some anxiety where I couldn't not finish things. So we're going to move into off the needles. I really felt like I had to get stuff done. And so one of my goals for the year is to knit a bunch of my partial skeins behind me. And so I went through, I had a bunch of partial skeins and I just needed to get them off the needles, and I knit some socks. A lot of socks. This was like in the course of a week, I knit these. Most of them are Turkish bed socks, which are super easy. And as you know, one of my favorite patterns. These are my hideous socks. I thought I was gonna have enough yarn left over from a pair of socks to do Turkish bed socks, and I didn't. But they're my shoes, so who cares? And socks around the house. So these, I got them off the needles. Yay. That's some knit picks. That was their sock lab, and this is just like some opal. I have opal in this color and in black for all of my toes. These are leftovers. These again, Turkish bed socks. There's a dog barking. These are leftovers from the holiday socks I made everyone in my family. Not everyone, but most everyone in my family, socks out of Always Be Kind yarn. This is the remnants from my brother-in-law's socks. And so everybody got, we lost my nephew there, to suicide several years ago. So everybody got socks that benefited, suicide awareness and prevention, except for my dad, who didn't want socks, and my husband, who didn't want socks. But my sister, my mom, my stepmother, and my niece, and my brother-in-law all got variations on this sock. Or they got full socks, but yes. Let's see, another Turkish bed socks. These were leftovers. More. This was Lorna. Well, this is Loopy You, their seasoning series, dyed by Lorna's Laces. And what I love about this, I made full-length socks for my friend Pamela, who didn't believe. I think she just wanted a pair of socks, but she said she didn't believe that hand knit socks were that much better. And so I made her a pair of socks. And as I was knitting them, I realized this is the same colorway that, this was dyed by Lorna's Laces for the Loopy You. And it's the same colorway as the first pair of real, like actually good socks I ever knit. And so I had to laugh that it's been, I was working for the MS Society, so it was 2008 was when I started knitting socks, and then I just whipped these off the needles. More socks. This is new yarn. I made these for Easter. Didn't wear them on Easter though. This is from Leading Men Fiber Arts, and I picked this up at my local yarn shop a couple of weeks ago. I showed it on my last podcast, and I love this. I started making a pattern that was for sort of no seam socks that was supposed to have it was supposed to be further to the toe, and you do short rows on the bottom, and it was a catastrophe. I don't know if it's the pattern. It was a paid for pattern, and I just really didn't care for it. There were lots of short rows, but it was just weird how you were knitting two together and then doing a short row, and it was just really clunky. And I don't usually have a problem knitting socks. And my husband laughed as he sat next to me saying, "You're complaining an awful lot about this sock pattern. Are you sure you want to continue it?" So I tore them out and I made these instead. Super simple, super easy Turkish bed socks. And then, here's another pair of Turkish bed socks that I clearly wasn't paying attention on because they're very different sized. But they both still fit because I make my Turkish bed socks with much negative ease. This is Cascade Heritage Paints in the Koi pond color. This was a hat. I had made a sockhead hat out of this, but we had a fire at our house a year and a half ago, and my hat got burned up. So, but again, I just had this sitting in a project bag and I had to finish all of my socks. Had to get rid of my remnants. It felt like I was doing something. The next pair of socks was a new pair that I saw on Facebook, on a knitting group on Facebook. And these were supposed to be, again, no seam socks with a little bit different. You can tell it's a little wider, so it goes a little bit further down on your foot. And they were okay. Nothing to write home about. I liked them, but they didn't go low enough on my foot again. Again, if I'm going to do that, I'm just going to do a Turkish bed sock. So I thought they were okay. This was leftovers from my White Birch Fiber Arts February socks that I made in February. So it was an okay pattern. It was super quick, but then it got me thinking, and so I tweaked the pattern, decided to become a pattern writer, and made my own socks using similar concepts, but using a fish lips kiss heel. And this does have a lot of stretch and goes much further down on my foot. I don't know if it will stay on in a pair of shoes or not. I have not worn it because I put it on my table to podcast for the last 3 weeks. So I haven't worn any of these. But then as I started, working on these, that's when I actually cast on these socks. Because I decided with the Turkish bed socks, you cast on, you make a heel flap, and then you later go back and cast on across the toe. And I thought to myself, why do you do that? Why can't I just cast it all on and not have to do that? It doesn't really make a difference, but I did that instead. So these were sort of a test, a modification of Turkish bed socks. 6 of 1 to me. It does not matter. They look the same either way and work the same either way, but it was just one of those things that I thought I'd try. I also did these all on a 9-inch circular until the toes. Usually I use like a 24 or something for the back, and then I go to a 9-inch circ when we're here, when I'm on the foot, and I don't need to do that. It's just one of those things I do, and now I know I can definitely do it all on 9-inch circ. But now I have more than enough socks for the spring to get me through. And of my shorty socks in all the years I've been knitting them, I've only ever blown out one. So I have a lot of shorty socks. And I will report back if these and these, both of these sort of no seams, actually stay on my foot. I felt like when I knit this one, it didn't stay on my foot as well, and I thought maybe it was the heel, because there's no short row shaping at the back for the heel, so it just is there, and I know it's supposed to be low, but I think it's too low, which is what made me think about doing a fish lips kiss heel. But again, I still think I need some short row shaping there. I do know that the socks therapist is working on she is working on an ankle sock, like a no-show sock with her heel, that will be an addition to the fish lips kiss heel pattern that pattern, if you haven't tried it, I know people freak out because it's like 16 pages or something. The actual pattern itself is like 2 paragraphs. It just tells you where to put your heel. And once you know, you know. I know that for me, I make my heel on toe-up socks 1.5 inches before the end of the length of a sock. So when I have 7.5 inches on a sock, I know my socks are 9 inches. I know when I have 7.5, I do a fishnets kiss heel. If I am doing a heel flap and gusset, which I rarely do, but if I am, I have to go about 2 inches. I've just learned that over the course of knitting socks. So that is the only thing I've finished knitting wise. That's a lot of socks, but I've then just was sort of chilling for a while and I didn't cast a lot on. And then one day I just started casting on stuff like crazy. So now we'll go to whips. Easy stuff first. This is my Front Range bag. I love this one with the little black sheep. These are wonderful bags. She is online. If you have a chance to buy her bags, they have lots of pocket zippers. They're very well crafted. They have a lot of quilting batting in there. So they're very puffy bags, but I really do enjoy them. We talked about this I think it was episode 2 in the I Knit With the Yarn that I said I would never knit with. The Hobby Lobby yarn that was gifted to me by a friend. I turned it into a pavement sweater. And those who know me know I'm now on like my 6th pavement sweater. So it looks really small, but it's because it's on small needles. But here's my pavement sweater. It's kind of bright and obnoxious, kind of like me. I am through the raglan increases. I have split for the sleeves. And now I have to do many, many inches below the armpit. And so this is my, as I call it, my fire pit knitting. We got a fire pit in our backyard and it makes me super happy, but I needed something I didn't have to look at. So we could sit in the backyard at night and I can knit. So this is what I am working on that way. It should hopefully be done in a couple weeks. I've sort of slogged out on it a little because I have a couple of other projects. No rush on it. I wear these sweaters year round. Wool can be warming, but wool can be cooling. I wore a pavement out to the brewery when it was 75 degrees on Saturday and I was totally fine. I'm also fair skinned and I like to have my arms covered. So this I'm working on. It's Hobby Lobby's yarn. It was a gift to me. I wouldn't buy that yarn, but I will tell you, it's really nice. It's soft. It's 100% superwash merino. It's super soft and I'm going to enjoy wearing it. But I don't give them money because it's not the political thing. It's the fact they say that they are Christian and yet they stole antiquities they bought antiquities that were supposed to be in museums and no, not happening. Next up, I cast on originally the Cozy Up with JoJo Legwarmers from the Cozy Up Knit Sisters. I originally cast those on and I just wasn't in the mood. There were a lot of cables and I wasn't in the mood for cables, like that many cables and that much thought. So I'm using the Cozy Up with JoJo yarn from Dye For You out of Canada, but I decided to do my own pattern, and so I did a 2x2 rib on a US 3, and then I did a repeating cable every 6, cable 3 cross every 6 rows, and they look pretty small. These are almost like boot toppers because I'm using a US 4, so they're not huge, like wide. They're more like, they called them like leggings, but I'm wearing leggings and those go all the way up. But these will be good. They won't get used probably until the autumn, but I am loving the cable. It's so simple. It's really pretty. I cannot cable without a cable needle. I respect people who can, but when I do it, that first stitch just gets lost and it's more frustrating. So I do cable with a cable needle. And I have my cable needle in my, I have it in my little IKEA bag. I love these little bags. IKEA's come out with all these cute little, they have a hat and they have all different sizes of their big blue bags. And so now I've started buying these and using them. I have my stitch markers on there, and it's my notions bag. So that's, these are kind of just cruising along. I have no need for them. Yes, it is cool here in the mornings, but I don't think I will be using them until next autumn. So when they get done, they get done. And this is being toted around my house, upstairs, downstairs, in an Amelia X Joy bag. She is on Etsy. She is out of the UK, and she has these amazingly cute, simple project bags. There's not a lot to them. There are pockets inside, and they're drawstrings, and her prices are ridiculously low. Even when you talk about converting from dollars to pounds, it is, or to euros, whatever I'm paying in, they are so cute, and I have so many of them. I went like on a binge, and I bought like 10 bags from her, and they're so cute, and she ships super fast. So Amelia X Joy, and she is also on Instagram. My next cast on was, oh, and I'm missing a cast on even. I forgot it. And now, oh, now I wonder where it is. This is my Breathe and Hope shawl by Casapinka, and I am just starting it. I am just on section 1, and I have another dog coming to visit, and it looks like she's going to dig in her dog bed, so we might have some weird noise going on. I am using Always Be Kind yarn. In her Galaxy Cake Pop is that off-white, or the white with the flecks, and a turquoise that she custom dyed for me to match this. Breathe and Hope was a big thing last year. I'm never on time for knit-alongs, so I'm just too cool. I have to wait to see how it turns out. But it's a fun little knit. It takes a little bit of concentration on my end, not much, but it's not mindless, so I'm a little behind on it because I keep choosing other projects to work on instead, but I'm hoping to get that. That's not my color wheel, so it's interesting. I don't usually choose those colors, so to see how that'll come out and if I'll wear it will be an interesting thing. And then finally, I teased this on Instagram. Some people have a project bag for your project. I have a project box. I ordered some yarn from Joanne. I'm going back in my office, and my office is very cold, and I needed a wrap that was warm, a wearable blanket big, and that I was able to wash because I can't have nice things. So I decided I was finally going to knit the ribbon wrap by Illy Tilly Knits, and I ordered yarn from Joanne. I'm going to do it in 100% acrylic. Their Big Twist acrylic is actually super soft and washes beautifully. And my friend Carrie Craft Geek, who has an Instagram, who has a YouTube channel, she tested that yarn and said it was her favorite acrylic. And they sent me my yarn in this gigantic box. So my project has stayed in this gigantic box. It's by my knitting chair, and I pull out a skein and work on it. So I decided, if you don't know the ribbon wrap by name, I actually printed out the whole pattern. I usually don't do that. This is the ribbon wrap, and a lot of people have done it with rainbows. It was originally a Knit Picks pattern, and you could get the kit in either a blue or these sort of reddish colors or a rainbow, and I know a lot of people have done the rainbow, but I started thinking I wanted it to be a Hudson Bay Company Traders wrap. I am a sucker for Hudson Bay Company. Their wool blankets are just ridiculously wonderfully crafted and have been for generations since they were trappers and traders in the Northern Territories. So I decided I can't do white because I can't have nice things, and generally the HBC is a cream colored background with stripes that are green, red, yellow, and blue. So I went with gray, and I cast on, I start down here and I cast on and made my first set of stripes, and then you pick up some stitches. It is knit in 2 pieces that you graft together, And now I am repeating this pattern right here. And that when I finish that, that will be the end of the first section. And it is huge and it is warm and I love it. And it is all garter. I haven't had a single purl stitch. There's some knit front and back. That's as close as you get to a purl stitch. So if you like mindless garter, this is great. I can't imagine it in wool because it would be even heavier. Acrylic's super light. And so I kind of like that. But if I were doing it in worsted weight wool, it would be kind of heavy. So I'm excited to finish this. I did go into the office this week and my office is freezing. I have a huge northern facing window. It's not huge, but it's a big northern facing window and I love it, but it is very cold. And I rearranged my office so that it is less feng shui, I learned from Real Simple, but it is more conducive to how most people have their offices in my workplace. Most people don't sit how I like to sit, with my back in the corner. It's called the emperor's position, and you can see everyone that comes in. I have a long skinny office though, so that always like really blocked off the space. So instead I put a desk here and a desk here by my window like this, like made an L. My door is over there so I can see people coming in. It's to my left, so I can see people coming in, but it still feels, my back is still exposed and it's kind of weird. But I now am super close to that window, and it also means there's not a pocket for my fan. My fan has to heat the whole office, so I know I will be wearing this much. Right now, the shawl I have in my office, I crocheted back in 2003, and I love it. I made it out of Lion Brand micro fleece yarn. And it was so, I love the shawl, but I want something a little different now because I've worn that in that office for 2 years. So this is my wearable blanket. And then I have a pair of socks from Artistic Yarn by Abby that I cast on. I have no idea where they are. And that is, I carry those in the car and I take them to the breweries to knit on them. So maybe they're in my husband's car. But it's in the holly color or holy color. And I'm sorry if I have any Hindu friends out there watching. Is it holy or holly? It's the Festival of Light. It was at the end of March. Her colorway, I showed it a couple weeks ago on the podcast, and it was just beautiful. It's this white, and then it's got a ton of colors. And then she sent a purplish blue for the contrast color. It's absolutely gorgeous. So I am working on that. Those are brewery socks, so I'm not in any hurry to finish them. And then I have, sitting on the floor over there by my chair for webinars, I have a thank you gift hat. It's a sock head hat for my graphic designer that, she lives in Alabama. It's not cold. No, she lives in Arkansas. She'll kill me. She lives in Arkansas and it's not cold down there anymore, so there's really now no rush to get this done. I'll have to send her some flowers or something as a thank you gift instead. But it's a sock head, and you know that's simple, just round and round. I'm about to go to the decreases, so it's sitting on the floor because it's harder to do the decreases during a webinar and pay full attention. I need a really boring webinar, and then I'll be able to do those decreases and send it off to her. So there's a lot on my needles. And I still am, I've been super enabled by Instagram recently. There's so many good dyers out there. There's so many sales going on right now, and it is so hard. I am so just drawn. So I have some new arrivals because of that, but I don't have much because more's coming. But the first thing I have is I got new sock blockers. I felt like my sock blockers were too small. I got the mediums. I got them from like Knit Picks or something years ago. But these I got from Crafts Yarn on Etsy. She's in Turkey and they shipped so fast, and they're just pretty. I do not block my socks. People ask that. I do not block my socks. I wash them. I have so many socks. I know some of you are going to scream when you hear this. I wash and dry my socks in the dryer. I do not have any socks that I am so incredibly wed to that if they got more felted or they died in the wash, I would cry. I'm not at all upset. I have probably 70 pair of socks plus all this yarn to make more. So I am a process knitter, as you can tell from my stack of socks. So I wash and dry my socks, but when I like to take photos or if I'm gifting them, it always looks nice to send a photo on this. So I do love those. I haven't really gotten a chance to use them because I haven't finished any socks yet, but I guess I could show you. Here's what I'll do. When I was talking about those socks and how low they are on the foot, you can see how low the socks are on the foot. A lot of negative ease in these to keep them on, but you can see how low that goes there and how low the heel is. And then these other socks, hey, if I had thought about this, I could have done this during the finished object show. Here's the other one, but you can see how much longer those are than even, say, a regular Turkish bed sock. This Turkish bed sock is not going to fit on this. My shorty socks are so small. Oh, it does, for negative ease, but you can see how that comes up all the way to here. So the other ones were down here. So bought these, super cute. I think they were like 20 bucks or something. They're not super thick. I heard some complaints about that, but they're not balsa wood either. They're not going to break. And I don't have kids, so I don't have like kids trying stuff on or something like that. It's weird. I'm being super organized about my socks. Like, they have to be stacked. I'm throwing other things all over the place. I got projects all over my office. This place is a mess, but my socks have to be stacked. My anxiety around them has been crazy. We will move on to Row 1 Yarn, my Carnival of Color monthly subscription. This month, we got, this is from Birch Dye Works. I don't think they say where they're from, except for the fact that she's a Dodgers fan. So go Dodgers. And, oh no, she's in New Hampshire, but she's a Dodgers fan. Sounds like she's a transplant of some sort. And this is an 80-20 with 400 yards to 100 grams. Tiny bit of crinkling, gonna try and keep that quiet. But you can see there's that bright green and that orange and pink, kind of my wheelhouse. And then you flip it over and there's a bunch of browns, not my wheelhouse. So very interesting. I'm excited to try these. Like I said, I'm gonna do another later this year. I'll be doing another habitation throw. This is a great mindless project to keep going. So that was my my Carnival of Color. After next month, I'll probably put a pause on it for a couple months because I have more than enough yarn to do one of those. But you can pause that subscription as long as you want, which I love about it. There's no, you don't have to drop out and come back in or whatever. It's really easy. And I got she always sends a stitch marker, and it's a baseball, which it's baseball season. We won't talk about my stupid team in my hometown, but my Cleveland baseball team is changing their names and making me super duper happy. And so I'm proud of them. And then Artistic Yarn by Abby came in this nice black organza bag. These are wonderful for regifting things at the holidays. When I send my best friend her gifts, I always put them in those. This month's color, this would be March's color. April will be shipped probably tomorrow and I'll get it next week, is called Steampunk Stripe sock yarn. And she does a 75-25. It's not 75-25 because they're still in it. 70, 20, and 5. And I don't know how well it's picking out. That's pretty good. It's yellows, browns, gray, and black. So not my wheelhouse at all, but very, very pretty. There's big stripes of bronze in there. Sorry, I didn't do my nails. And then this bright yellow as the contrast color, which is super bright. So rather bold combination. And then she always sends cute little things. She sent this month, she actually put sealing wax on. I used sealing wax when I was a kid and I loved it. I don't write enough letters now, but she made she sent us a letter. It's super cute. And then she also always includes a stitch marker, and it is a skeleton key stitch marker, which goes with steampunk pretty well, and it is super cute. And then she always includes an extra. And this month, it is a necklace that I have knotted up. Ignore me. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. With a little key, which is cute. Little brass key. So very cute. Again, not my wheelhouse for colors, but I think my mother would really like them. And it reminded me very much of the February she sent Grello, which was the Pantone colors of the year with a white and lemonade-y sort of speckle. So kind of, they don't go together. I would never say that, but they kind of go together. So I don't know, those will become socks at some point. I was trying to keep up, but then I realized I have so many socks. There's no point in keeping up anymore. I've given up keeping up because I don't wear the socks. So what's the point? I wear shorties all the time. I wear them in my clogs. I wear them in the tennis shoes. I wear them around the house. So, but it's hard. I love Leading Men Fiber Arts because their colors come in 50s. So I can just make a pair of shorty socks without having to worry about wasting or figuring out what I'm going to do for the next 50. I can make sock heads. I know there's a bunch of podcasters who are doing the year of sock heads. I know Imagine Landscapes, they're like doing a year literally where they're doing like 6 or 10 sock head hats. I don't think I could do that. They're going to give them away like as a grab bag for gifts at the holidays. I don't think I could do that, but that is one way I could do sock heads. Particularly for me, because I have a peanut head, a sock head, and then do a pair of socks with a contrast on the other end. So that's, those are all my new arrivals. I have yarn coming from the Lemonade Shop, had an update yesterday, and I bought a skein of yarn from her. She's local, supporting my local business. Always Be Kind Yarn had an update, and she has so many new colors that I love. She does all those rainbows, and so, bought several skeins from her. I like to support her. She's a local, she's a new dyer. You guys know my affinity for her. And then this weekend is local yarn store day. So I will probably stop at one of my 2 local yarn stores. I do have an acquaintance who is a local dyer who is going to be at another yarn store that I don't shop at very much. That's by my mom's house. I may go there. I used to shop there. But it's not from the beginning, I haven't gotten a great vibe from them. I haven't really felt that welcome, both by the fellow knitters. The owners are fine, but the fellow knitters really, like, they were kind of snarky to me when I was a little bit newer knitter. And so I've never really taken to that store. So, but she's doing a trunk show there, so I may stop in there. Depends how much my husband wants to drive around. That's like Saturday's our day to run errands and go out and try breweries and things. So I managed to sneak in some stops there. So that's it for the knitting content. I'm going to do some more uppers and downers. Let's see. Uppers. I am fitty. I had all of my little tests done that I have to have done. You know, I'm healthy and all of that. I do have parathyroid disease, which I've known forever. But I literally am on an upper because my doc changed my medication. I've been on the same medications for about 13 years. And whether it was COVID, whether it was work, whatever it was, I was feeling that general malaise and wasn't feeling well. And I spoke to my doctor about it because that's what you need to do. They can't read your mind. And she changed my meds and I am one happy camper. Like, yes, it was immediate because when you change antidepressants and anti-anxieties, you get a nice boost, but it has maintained. And that is wonderful. So I love my doctor, and I also love that she ran all of her panels and she's like, let's get you to, I've been waiting to get to an endocrinologist. My downer is that it is a 6-month wait. I can't get an appointment until August with an endocrinologist. Would really love just to have my parathyroids removed and I would be so much healthier. But I wait for that appointment. Another upper is that it is spring. I mentioned that earlier. It's just so much nicer having our fire pit. We're doing a whole bunch of stuff in the backyard. We're going to get an outdoor pizza oven. We don't even own this house, and we're going to have like this decked out backyard. And then I'm out of grant season for right now. I have some more grants coming up in June, but right now I can take a breath and I don't have to be writing grants all the time, and I can do my job of getting to know my donors, you know, building those one-on-one relationships, and that's fun. So instead of just writing, I actually get to pick up the phone and Zoom and do those sorts of things. So that's fun. Downers, I should have done the downers first, but disorganization. I I mentioned like my office is a mess. I'm really not like slovenly or anything, but I felt incredibly disorganized. I actually missed a grant deadline. I have never, ever, ever done that. And I missed a grant deadline. It wasn't a big grant. Our odds of getting it were really low, but I really felt discombobulated. So I have just really tried doing more list keeping. I'm using, I use a paper planner and I love my paper planner, but I have started also using a planner on my phone called Artful Agenda because I'm a dork and I like pretty planners. And I've started, it keeps notes, it keeps lists, and I have all these lists, like lists of lists of lists. And that is helping me really try to stay ahead of things. And actually, instead of trying to keep everything in my head, which I know I shouldn't do, I literally, not only do I have a work notebook where I write stuff down, I have put it in my, my planner that syncs with my phone and my iPad and my laptop and my work computer. It syncs with all of it. So that's really been helping me. But good Lord, I almost forgot a meeting with a funder. And so I felt, you know, part of it was my mental state after everything that's been happening, but I really felt like I had to get my crap together. And so I have been doing that. And part of the reason we did the backyard was like to organize the backyard. We bought a big storage box to put our cushions in and just feel like everything has a place and a place for everything. So I've been trying to do that, which is why I'm like, where is that knitting project? I'm trying not to be that person. And then I am, you know, I'm back in the office, which is good and bad. I love being in the office. I love being around people, but I also love working from home and I love my dogs. This summer or this winter working from home was really helpful because I had chronic fatigue, and part of that is related to my parathyroid and part of that was related to literally my brain chemistry. So I have felt better since I changed my medication. I no longer need to nap in the middle of the day, which is wonderful. But you know, being in the office, some of those days go really slowly compared to at home, and I don't know what that is, if it's the distractions, if I have no idea. But 3 days a week, I negotiated during my annual review, 3 days in, 2 days at home, and I can switch those as need be. They tend to be Monday, Thursday, Friday. But as my boss needs me, I change those. So, and we're doing a big food giveaway next week, another one of our food giveaways, which is exciting. We have done like 4 of them now. We've given away more than 60,000 pounds of food to local families in need. So that's always fun doing that. And that's what's going on here. I'm excited for Local Yarn Store Day. I will have lots of yarn to show, I'm sure, next week or 2 weeks from now. And hopefully I'll podcast on a weekend and get my spouse in here. So again, if you have questions that you want to ask him about what it's like to be married to a crazy person like me, let me know and I will ask him. He never, he doesn't take pictures. He's on social media, but he just isn't, he's as much of an introvert as I am. So it'll be fun to get him out here. I don't know what we'll talk about. So again, like and subscribe, share this with your friends. If you need to reach me, hello@coloradoknits.net, comment below, Instagram, all those places. And until next time, which hopefully will not be 5 weeks, stay positive, test negative, go get your vaccine, and I will talk to you all later.